Hey, this is Jamey with Stonemeyer Games, and today I am going to talk about my favorite mechanisms in small islands, which reminded me a lot of Carcassonne, but in some very, very good ways. I played Small Islands two-player on Board Game Arena, and it's a beautiful implementation on Board Game Arena, and it's a beautiful game. The art is really, really beautiful in Small Islands. And basically, the idea in the turn is that you are taking a tile and you're placing it on the board. Very simple. You're forming a common tableau of tiles like in Carcassonne. But there are a few twists that I really, really like. The game is played over 4 rounds, and at the beginning of each round, you get 3 objective cards, and you'll choose one of those objective cards to apply to this round, and that is how you will score this round. You'll choose one of those objective cards to discard and get rid of, and you'll choose another one to reserve in your hand for the possibility of using in a future round. I really, really like this system for multiple reasons. One, I like just the amount of agency that you have over this random card draw. You're drawing 3 random objectives. But not only do you get to choose your objective for the current round, but you also get to potentially plan ahead for the next round. But you're not locked into that next objective card. It just is in your hand the next time you'll have 3 cards to select from. So I guess in the rounds 2 through 4, you're only drawing 2 cards, 2 new cards to add to that card that you've already reserved. But the other element that I really like is that you only have to pay attention to one objective per round. So the thing that you don't have to care about any big picture stuff in the game. All you're caring about is that round's objective and what you're trying to do right now. So it's very tactical in nature, but I like that there isn't a lot of mental overhead. You're really focused on that one thing in that current round, and maybe you're thinking about that objective that you reserved for the following round. A couple other neat little twists in this game. One is that you essentially control how long each round lasts. There's a big stack of tiles that's all tiles in the game, and then you set aside, I believe it's 3 tiles per player, and there are either 3 or 4 tiles that are face up at any given time. And after the shorter stack of tiles has been exhausted, you can place a ship. So there's these ships, maybe they're called ports or something like that, ships or ports. You can place one of those tiles to end the round right then and there. So you have control. You can say, okay, right now the round is over. I'm ending it. Or you can continue to draw tiles from the bigger stack of tiles and continue to play them on the table pretty much as long as you want. And this I found to be really satisfying, that you had a lot of agency over how long each round lasted. You could stretch a round out if you're trying to do something specific with your goal, or if you have accomplished your goal pretty well, and for another reason that I'll mention in a second, you don't want the round to continue, you can just end it right then and there. And it doesn't completely screw over anyone, but it can have an impact on the other players. It is an element of player interaction in the game, in that you are paying attention to what the other players are doing, trying to guess what their objectives are, and trying to do your best for your own objective. This ties into my last mechanism that I really like about the game, which is that you can only put one of your houses on each island. And what this means is that you are essentially scoring each island. So if I have an objective that says I get 1 point per fruit on an island, at the end of the round, I decide which islands I want to score for that objective. So I'll put a little house on those islands. The reason that matters is that it means that I can't score those islands again in the future for a completely different goal. That goal is done, and that island is done for me. And so I have to decide right at that moment, how much is this island worth for me for this current goal versus its future potential value for other objectives that I might use in the future. And tied into this is a neat element of player interaction, because the islands that you're forming on this board, kind of like the cities in Carcassonne, the islands that you're forming could, unless you close them off and complete them, they could combine into other islands. And so you might have, like if this happened in the game that I played, I had a house on an island, island that was really, really good for that house. And then there was another island, a little too close to that island, that I was saving for a future objective. But my opponent combined those 2 islands together, forming them into a single island that I already had a house on. So I could not place a house on that island in the future. Just a really clever twist to player interaction there that means that you really do have to pay attention to other players and where they might be placing tiles. And it adds back to that decision of when do you end the round so that other players don't connect those islands in ways that might not benefit you. So for a very simple, easy to learn game, there's a lot of interesting decisions in this game. That's Small Islands. I highly recommend checking it out either on the tabletop or on Board Game Arena. Thanks.